What is going on, guys? Pat Damiano here, coming to you from the garage once again, and today we are back with everybody's favorite day of the week, and that is Double Complex Day. Now, this Double Complex Day is one of my favorite ones that I've ever put together, and it was a fan favorite. So I took this one directly from my kettlebell program, Project Bellplex, and everybody loved it. So if you do this one and you loved it as well and you want more stuff like this, make sure you go ahead and click the first link in my description below so you can save 75% off your first 4 weeks of training. Now, without going too much into it, let's go ahead and head to the whiteboard and just start talking about it because I'm too excited for it. All right, guys, so here's what we've got on the menu for today. We've got 2 complexes, obviously, and then both of them are gonna be supersetted with some very straightforward and simple core work. So the first complex is an unnamed complex. I kind of just made this one up the other day and I loved it. So the way this one works, you are going to do a snatch, a push press, plus a thruster, then go back to the snatch, push press, thruster, and so on until you have accumulated it 5 times straight through without putting your kettlebell down. There's 2 ways you can go about this, with either 1 kettlebell or 2. I'm going to be demonstrating with 2 kettlebells, but I will talk about how you are going to do it if you are only using 1 or only have 1. So if you only have 1, don't worry, you can still do this one. So you will run through that for 5 reps in a row. So snatch, push, press, thruster, that's 1 rep, 5 in a row. You will then drop down and you will do 12 hollow rocks. Very straightforward there. Rest about a minute to a minute and a half. Go back to the top. We're doing 5 sets. After you've done 5 sets of that, we're gonna make our way down to the DeJulie complex. This is another fan favorite. Everybody always loves this one, and it is probably one of the most unassuming complexes that I've got. So if you're looking at this one and you're like, all right, it really doesn't look like that much, somehow, some way, this one just burns like fucking crazy. So really like this complex because it is unassuming and I love when that happens to people. And it's just a good one and it's a nice one to use a nice heavy kettlebell with. So the DeJulie complex is set up in a similar way to this first one. So you're gonna do a single arm deadlift on one side, single arm deadlift on the other, hop back, do 1 swing. That's 1 rep. You're gonna do that 6 times in a row without stopping. Then you can take a little 20-second rest, and then we're getting into some single leg V-ups, right? After your V-ups, you can rest about a minute. We're doing 5 sets, and then that'll be a wrap, right? So we talked about it. Let's go see what it looks like. All right, so let's talk about our first complex. Like I said, I'm gonna be demonstrating with 2 kettlebells because that's how I did it when I did it a couple days ago, and I liked it that way, but it is possible to do with just 1. Now, the way this one is going to work, it starts out in front of us. We're going to swing right into a double snatch. Bring it down, push press, back down, thruster. Again, that's 1 rep. We're not putting our kettlebells down. Swing into the snatch, push press, thruster, swing into the snatch, and so on. You get the idea, okay? You will continuously do that until you have accumulated 5 reps. 1 rep being 1 snatch, push, press, thruster. That's a rep. Now, if you have single kettlebells, it's the same thing. You're just gonna do 5 on one side and then get right into 5 on the other. So it'll look like this. Snatch, push, press, thruster, swing into the snatch, staying on one side, push, press, thruster, and so on, all right? Now, if you're doing it with 1, now after you do 5, switch sides right into snatch, push, press, thruster, 5 times in a row. That's 1 full set, including the hollow rocks, all right? Now, if you are doing it with 1, I recommend taking this other hand if you get heavy enough on your thruster and giving yourself a little bit of assistance as you hit the bottom of the squat. You might not need it, you might. Totally up to you, right? So that is what that first complex looks like. You will superset that with 12 hollow rocks. If you're not familiar with hollow rocks, they look like this, okay? Think about your tailbone as a seesaw. So in a perfect world, they look like this. We look like a banana and we're rocking back and forth 12 times, 2, 3, and so on. Now, that is difficult. So if you need to scale them to do them appropriately, you're going to bend your knees. Instead of your hands being over your head, you're gonna get them right over this way, like you just did a bench press. And you'll rock back and forth like this. And if this is too easy, you just kick your legs out a little bit farther and get your hands a little more over your head. And you just play around with how far out you can keep your legs and how far over your head you can have your hands to still do them efficiently, okay? 12 of those, then rest for a minute, back to your complex, 5 sets. All right, so making our way onto this DeJulie complex. Again, do not underestimate this one. It is one of my favorite complexes. By the way, if you don't have all my complexes, go ahead and click the link in my description below so you can get all 20 of them sent directly to your inbox in one document, all right? So our DeJulie complex, the way it is going to work, we are standing over our kettlebell like so. Now we just have one. You should be getting a fairly heavy kettlebell for this one, all right? So we're standing over it. The handle of this kettlebell is lined up with where my shoelaces are tied, okay? So I don't want it too far out in front of you. Get it right underneath you. You're gonna take one hand, do a single arm deadlift, switch hands, single arm deadlift. From here, I want you to hop back a little bit, tilt this kettlebell back, and go into one kettlebell swing. From there, you hop back over it. So that way you stay in the same spot and you don't end up scooting back. So it's deadlift, deadlift, hop back, swing, hop forward, deadlift, and so on. So deadlift, deadlift, swing is one. You'll do that 6 times in a row without stopping. Then you can rest a little bit and move on to the V-ups, which I'll talk about in just a second, all right? But our single arm deadlift, the one thing I want you to focus on is making sure this arm is locked down. You should feel some tension in your lat here. What I don't want this to turn into is this thing where you're just reaching for the floor, okay? With this deadlift. It shouldn't be pulling you this way. You should still be nice and centered. So if you're standing in front of me right now, you can read what's on my shirt, okay? Because otherwise, if you just do this, your back's not gonna like you, okay? So that is your DeJulie complex. Now, single leg V-ups are gonna be pretty straightforward. We're laying down on our back, okay? We're going to sit all the way up and bring one leg up. Right hand to left foot, back down. Left hand to right foot, okay? We are doing 10 on each side, so that's 20 total. Real quick with your V-ups. This is not a V-up, all right? When you do a V-up, your lower back should come off of the ground like this. It's usually a coordination thing and not a strength thing. Think about doing the sit-up part first, then lift your leg. Sit up first, then lift your leg. If you just think about lifting your leg, it's gonna be really hard to get your lower back off the ground, all right? So you have 10 of those on each side, 20 total. Then you can rest a minute, back to your DeJulie complex, 5 sets. And then once you finish that, that is a wrap. That is all you need. So you have 5 sets of your first complex with the hollow rocks, 5 sets of your second complex with the single leg V-ups, and then you're good to go. That is a wrap. 30, maybe 40 minutes. You only need a few kettlebells. As always, you don't need a ton of time, you don't need a ton of space, and you don't need a ton of equipment, all right? If you guys enjoy this type of content, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.